from the vaults of time and risen from the static, a podcast unlike any ever heard before, something fresh from the days of yore, an analog dream, a digital nightmare. You have now entered the memory machine. What's up, everybody? This is Geno Cuddy, and I want to welcome you to The Memory Machine, a show that will review and talk about movies and TV shows from the mid-90s all the way up to the early 2000s. This show is basically going to be like a love letter to my childhood and people of my generation who grew up with a lot of this stuff. So what are we talking about today? Well, today we are going to be talking about a great show from my childhood that I don't believe gets enough attention, and that show is the Disney Channel show So Weird. Basically what the show is about. It was basically about a teenage girl, Fiona Phillips, who toured with her rock star mom while encountering paranormal activity. The series was compared to the Fox TV series The X-Files, since it took a darker tone than any other Disney Channel show at the time. And it was pretty dark. There was a lot of weird shit going on this show, bro. There's one episode, Will o' the Wisp, if you ever see that episode, which unfortunately you probably can't, because this is one of the many shows that Disney just doesn't want to have anything to do with. It's really, really a shame, because this show was so great for its time. You know, and it was ahead of its time, too, because you didn't see shows like this for kids at that time. I mean, sure, there was stuff like Erie, Indiana, and other stuff like that, but never really anything on this level, I feel. This was designed as a mid-season replacement, and it premiered on January 18th, 1999. And this show was part of Disney's, back then they had a cool programming block, and they had a cool brand called Zoog Disney. And Zoog Disney was like, they had all these like weird little creatures that would like do weird and cool stuff during the interstitials. And so what would happen is that they had a lot of shows on this roster. They would have So Weird. They would have another show that I plan on covering called The Jersey. They had the famous Jet Jackson, Lizzie McGuire, Even Stevens. And out of all those shows, only 2 of them have ever gotten official DVD releases. And I think that's a shame. And it was also, quite famously enough, one of the first Disney Channel original series to be shot in 16:9 widescreen. So there are actually widescreen HD versions of these episodes out there. So it would be interesting to see them, you know, like in full scope too. I didn't even realize that until just now. So this show was a lot of fun when I was a kid. I couldn't wait to get home and watch this because I loved scary shit back then. It's funny. Disney Channel introduced me to pretty much my love of monster movies, and I will be getting it into some of the Disney Channel original movies that dealt with monsters, like on this show. I mean, I will be doing reviews of stuff like Don't Look Under the Bed, Can of Worms, Mom's Got a Date with a Vampire, Halloween Town, the Halloween Town films. Can't say enough about the Halloween Town films. Those were so much fun back in the day. The sad part about So Weird, and the sad part about a lot of Disney shows, pretty much all of the Disney shows from around this time, is that they had what I like to call the 3 season rule, meaning that back in the day, Disney Channel would not let any of their shows go past 3 seasons because they felt at that time, in their infinite wisdom, that audiences wouldn't stick around for more than 3 seasons of a show because the show is targeted towards kids. They felt that kids would lose interest rather quickly and they would just move on to the newest and latest and greatest fad and everything else. Well, sometimes that's true, sometimes that's not. Um, and with this show, I could have seen this show if they did not have that stupid rule in place. This show could have gone at least until 2004. At least until 2004. Because it was just so damn good. It's a shame that shows like this aren't on DVD yet. Because people would really freaking enjoy this. Um, and I just gotta say right off the bat, I love the theme song for this show. I think it's one of the best theme songs because it just has such an energy. It gets you pumped for the show you're about to watch. And it's funny. The thing about the theme song is, and it's kind of controversial in some ways because people have taken it two completely different ways. One interpretation that people have of the theme song is that it, and this is the one that I'm going with, is that because the song is called "In the Darkness," and when I go back and I edit this later, you would have already heard the theme song at the top of the program. But it's like, "In demons come from every side, and the darkness is the light," and it just goes from there. People have interpreted it, and I'm interpreting it as relating to the show, related to the themes of the show, because the show was about, as I stated, this teenage girl, Fiona Phillips, who ran her own paranormal, supernatural themed website, and she would tour with her rock star mom, and while touring with her mom, she would either get emails from people saying this is what happened to me, or she would find, or she would get involved with weird and paranormal situations. She would find herself in paranormal, weird situations while she was in like a particular city or particular town with her mom. Like there was this one episode called Memory, which basically was like an alien invasion show where these aliens invaded this small town while everybody was swimming in the pool, and these aliens infected the pool. And whenever people would try to remember that night when the aliens invaded, they would get seriously sick, and it's like the air conditioners weren't working. It was hotter than hell. They had like no water, no way to get anything cold to drink, um, and and there was no water in the swimming pool to swim in either. It was all sludge. Um, this show was really, really dark for its time because it dealt with shit like that. There was no other shows for kids. You have to remember, this is back in the 90s. This is not like the post 9/11 world where every single kid show is gritty as hell now because kids can take things now, apparently. This was at a time when we were still being sheltered. Kids like me were being sheltered from watching weird stuff like this. And Disney Channel was basically where I got my love of like monster movies and stuff like that because they, as I said before, they had so many good ones. Unfortunately, this show went downhill real fast, and the reason for that is mainly due to the casting. Cara Delizia, who plays Fiona Phillips, marvelous actress, marvelous child actress of the time. I'm surprised she never really did anything else because she was just so damn good. She left after the second season, but she was just so damn good, just so damn good. Yeah, she really never did anything else. Yeah, I'm just like breezing through like her Wikipedia right now, and she never did anything else that anybody would even know of. Yeah, this stuff. There's just nothing in here. I mean, she did bit parts on stuff like The West Wing, NYPD Blue, Ghost Whisperer. But it's like she never had another regular role again, and it's a shame too because she was so damn good in the show, um, playing Fiona Phillips. I mean, that was a character. She obviously, I don't want to say she had mental problems. I don't want to say that, but she definitely had this weird fascination with supernatural stuff, with like scary stuff, and sometimes it bordered on unhealthy obsession. And every episode would start with, like her talking about like the theme of the show. It would be like she would say, like for instance, at the start of Memory, it shows her and her family watching home movies or something, and it's like, it's really amazing how the brain could retain so much information, like how we can remember, our first day at school, or how we could remember our first kiss, but we can't even remember what we had for breakfast this morning. And every episode would start like that, like with some philosophical statement right up front, which I loved. It's like, okay, you got my attention now because this is a kid show that was actually smart. It was well written. I mean, this show wasn't dumb. It was not dumbing shit down for kids. And I think that's the problem with like a lot of television for kids now is that they dumb it down, and they explain everything. This show, I'm surprised because this show had so much potential. This show had so much potential. I mean, I just watched an episode recently called Website. Uh, Again, which was one of the first shows, and that episode was basically about this mysterious emailer who's emailing Fiona these mysterious links to these newspaper articles and whatever, telling her that her mom's gonna fail on stage, that there's going that this music critic's gonna like die or get attacked, and it's like seeing into the future. And what happens is, you know, she starts seeing all these things, and these things start happening. Her mom does fail. The music critic does get attacked and stuff like that. And it was a very good show for one reason. Well, for many reasons, but for mainly this. No other show was doing paranormal stuff at the time. No other show is tackling paranormal stuff. I'm surprised. I mean, I guess a precursor to this would be a show that Chris Cooling of Forgotten TV told me about called Erie, Indiana. But that show had been long off the air since then. And I believe the only other shows that dealt with scary stuff were like Are You Afraid of the Dark, and R.L. Stein's Goosebumps. And those shows will be getting covered definitely on this show. But I'm sorry, I see this is completely different from those other shows. I mean, it's like I love the premise. A teenage girl who has a rock star mom, and she's into practically almost the occult. I think that that's a pretty awesome fucking concept for a show. Um, and some of the other stars that were in this. Oh, I wanted to get back to the theme song here since I saw Mackenzie Phillips' name. The theme song In the Darkness. It could be interpreted in two ways. It could be interpreted as being about the show, but people have also interpreted it as being a representation of Mackenzie Phillips' actual life. Because Mackenzie Phillips, for those of you who don't know, is a very famous singer and actress, and her father was her father's name was John Phillips, and he was the singer of in the Mamas and the Papas, and the thing is that peop Mackenzie Phillips and John Phillips, there was something weird going on there. There was an incestuous relationship going on there. And people have interpreted the theme song of So Weird in the Darkness to be sort of like a foreboding reminder of that horrible relationship, of that intimate sexual relationship that father and daughter had together. I mean, when I read the story about Mackenzie Phillips and her dad, it was like it was something right out of Steve Wilkos. Um, and it's really amazing that people have interpreted this theme song specifically, to be a representation of that. You know, I mean, we're in the internet age now, and people, interpret things however they want. But I just found that really interesting. And this show was executive produced by none other than Harry Winkler, the Fonz. I thought that was interesting. Now, of course, since this was a three-season show, as I stated, which was, again, really, really unfortunate, this show went downhill real fast. Real fast. First of all, in the second season, Eric Von Detten, who was like a 90s heartthrob, he was in everything. He was in The Princess Diaries. He was, God, he was in everything. He was in Recess, the animated show Recess. He was in the show Odd Man Out. He was in the Disney Channel movie Brink, which I absolutely love. And sadly, he did play Wally Cleaver in the '97 Leave It to Beaver, but I will not hold that against him. Now, when I was a kid, sadly enough, I often got Eric Von Detten confused with AJ Trauth because they both had a very similar look to them. AJ Trauth was he played Twitty in Even Stevens. He was also in the Disney Channel movie You Wish with God, what was his name? I think it was something Breslin. It was one of the Breslin siblings. It wasn't Abigail Breslin. It was her brother. And Lane was in that too. And it was a really really good TV movie. Um, but Eric Von Detten was in everything back in the day. It's like he was in, again, Princess Diaries, Brink. No more needs to be said. '90s heartthrob. Every issue of Teen Beat magazine back in the day. Don't need to go any further. Unfortunately, however, Mr. Von Detten got replaced in in season two, with Eric Lively. Now, I have nothing against Eric Lively, but I just didn't like his character. I really did not like his character in that show. He played the role of Nick Larson in The Butterfly Effect 2, and he's also known for his role as Mark Wayland in Showtime's hit drama The L Word. Um, yeah, he played Carrie Bell, and I really did not like that recasting. I hated the fact that they recast Eric Von Detten. I still don't know why to this day they recasted Eric Von Detten's role and they gave it to this guy. I mean, again, nothing against the actor. I think it was good, but just not Eric Von Detten for me. But the worst change came in season three. Cara Delizia wanted to pursue projects outside of Disney. So for the third season, they got actress Alexis Johnson, uh, and she played Annie Thelen. And Annie Thelen was basically a family friend of the Phillips family, and she moved in with the Phillips after Fiona leaves for her leaves to go to her aunt's house to try to live a normal life. Um, that's just a clever way of writing out Cara Delizia's character. And it was at that point as well that the show really started to be more comical. It wasn't as serious or gritty as it was in its first two seasons. And I'm sorry, I'm laying some of that blame with Alexis Johnson because she was a goofball. She wasn't really. I mean, see, I don't want to fault her too much because she had some pretty big shoes to fill because Cara Delizia um, was such an established part of that show. I mean, hell, she was the main character. That would be like, you know what that would have been like to put it in perspective for people my generation. That would be like them. That would be like if Hilary Duff left Lizzie McGuire halfway through the second season, and they had to recast Lizzie McGuire. That's what it was like. That's how bad this was. That's how sucky it was. And that's another reason why it's almost like Disney was setting the show up for failure right out of the gate. And it's a shame too because this show had so much potential. It could have gone so much farther than what it did. Um, Carrie Bell was Clue Bell's older brother, and Clue and that's CLU Clue Bell and Carrie Bell were the sons of Irene and Ned Bell, played by Belinda Metz and Dave Squatch Ward. And so yeah, because Dave Squatch Ward, Ned Bell is Molly's tour bus driver, and Irene Bell is the band manager for Molly Phillips, and Molly Phillips, of course, being played by Mackenzie Phillips. So this is basically the whole setup, and they go around, and Patrick Levis plays Jack Phillips, Fee's older brother, and of course, you have the old trope of, oh, the older brother doesn't bleed the younger sister, even though the younger sister is actually the one who's right. You have that trope. And they played almost. I don't want to say they played up too much because I do love the show, but they kind of do. Um, but I do have to say, Patrick Levis gives a wonderful performance in the rather famous Will of the Wisp episode where he's possessed by an Irish demon. It's an awesome watch. I mean, again, if Disney ever releases a show, or if you go to iOffer, because I will mention iOffer on this show countless times, because a lot of the shit I'm going to be talking about on the show you can't find anywhere. So if you could find it on iOffer, or if you could find it on torrent, or you know what, if you want to see the shows I'm talking about, just send me an email and I'll send them to you, because these shows deserve to be watched. I'll send them to you via Dropbox. Just email me. Let me know when you've seen them. Let me know when you've downloaded them so I could delete them from my server. But I'll let you guys see this shit because this shit deserves to be seen. And by the way, if you would like to email me, feel free to email me at cuddy.fw@gmail.com. Again, that is cuddy.fw@gmail.com. You could send me hate mail, you could send me love mail, you could send me whatever mail you want there. Anything you want to say about the show, anything you want to say, you could even call me an asshole. All right, you can call me an asshole and just send me that shit. All right, just talk to me. Just talk to me. Um, so yeah, So Weird is a great show, but it was doomed from the beginning. It was doomed from the beginning because Disney Channel really had no faith in a show like this. And I think that's because the show is ahead of its time. Nobody else was doing a paranormal show like this where the main character had control over the action. I mean, yeah, they did again have Are You Afraid of the Dark and Goosebumps. Goosebumps was based on a series of books, so I'm not really going to count that. Are You Afraid of the Dark was basically kids telling ghost stories. This was something different. This was the main character being put into these situations herself and having to use her own strengths to get out of those horrible situations. It was a very good show, very well written. I mean, again, it's as well written as it can be, knowing that it's a kid show. But it was very well written, and again, if you want to see the show, I will send it to you. I want you guys to seek this out. I want you guys to find this stuff and be able to watch it because, I enjoyed this show when I was a kid, and I think other people will too. And the music is awesome. I love the theme song. In the Darkness is one of the best theme songs ever written. Maybe not of all time, but at least for like kids television, one of the best theme songs ever written, and also performed by Mackenzie Phillips, beautiful songwriter and singer. Um, Good guitars too, very 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 good. Um, yeah, so weird. Hasn't aired on Disney Channel since 2003. This show has not been seen in well over 15 years. So yeah, if you want to see this show, fuck it. I will send it to you. Oh, I know now. I know why they recasted Eric Von Detten. It's because he was in two network projects. He was in the sitcom Odd Man Out in the fantasy series Dinotopia that aired on NBC. So yeah, kinda. Those shows didn't last too long, sadly. Um, and that was a shame. The soundtrack is not available anywhere. But if you ask around, if you ask like executive producers John Cooksey and Larry Sugar, I'm pretty sure they'll send you a copy because the soundtrack is awesome. The music that Mackenzie Phillips wrote was freaking awesome. Um, and music videos, they would have music videos. Um, the music of So Weird is worthy of an episode in and of itself. But I don't want to take up too much of your guys' time because I know you got shit to do. I got shit to do. I just wanted this to be a nice, short, and sweet intro to the Memory Machine. Believe me, there will be better episodes down the pike. I mean, I'm talking basically about a show that hasn't aired in well over 15 years, so please bear with me. I'm going from memory, and I'm also going from what little I have seen since then, because I'm just now started to discover shows like this. Um, so please forgive me if any inaccuracies or any faults from the show because this is a new thing for me. But I enjoy talking about stuff like this from my childhood because shows like this need to stay alive. I mean, shows like this are just as important as like Land of the Lost. Shows like this are just as important to people in my generation as say the real Ghostbusters, as Transformers. Shows like this are important to people in my generation, and I don't think that they should fall by the wayside just because they may not be your forte. But all right, guys. Again, So Weird is an awesome show. It was ahead of its time. Disney unfortunately didn't know how to market it. They didn't know what to do with it. So they sabotaged it and they just let it go to shit from there. So all right, guys. I'll be talking to you later, and I hope you guys have a great night. Peace.